Okay, here we are. A long-awaited episode of me and you.
I built a nice little seat over here.
Yeah.
Little castle, little throne.
So we're here at the rental project, or the renovation project. And Vincent and I lately have been talking a lot about the podcast, our content, everything we've been putting out. And we absolutely love supporting local businesses and having these guests on our podcast every week. We actually have like a little mini waiting list we've kind of accumulated of guests that have hit us up and said, hey, I'd love to come on and talk about whatever. And while we absolutely love the guests, we also have a lot of things that we want to talk about and share from our life. And so in order to keep the guests coming, we've decided to kind of drop like some
Supplemental,
supplemental episodes to the podcast.
complimentary episodes.
Complimentary, yeah,
There you go.
episodes to the podcast. So this might come out once a week. This might come out every other week. Who knows? So yeah, we just want to be able to share some things that we're going through, things that we're learning, and just put it out there.
Yeah, not a bad idea to promote yourself. You got to have some self-confidence. And funny enough, what happened right when we were just chilling out there on the front porch?
Yeah, someone just walked by and was like, "Hey, did you used to go to?" Well, he said Padua. Did you used to go to Padua?
Oh, did he?
Yeah, you
I
did.
missed
Yeah.
that part.
He said you used to play basketball at Padua, and I'm like, no,
Man, still getting recognized in these streets.
can't
Still
turn
getting
it off.
recognized in these
I
streets.
know.
Yeah, it's
What can
not
I
a bad
say?
neighborhood over here, is it?
I've been a 5'10" redhead my whole life,
Mm.
so I look the same. Just
That's
hopefully a little
so
bit more
funny.
mature. But yeah, I did have somebody just yell at me across the street. Cat called me.
Yeah, that was cool. 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So for context, we're here at our latest project. We've kind of been posting up some updates as we've been renovating this home. This has been a part of our life and our journey that we've not necessarily kept quiet. But I think in the beginning, at least for me, speaking for myself, whenever we would buy a property or renovate a property, it just felt like really braggy to be like, look, we bought another house. And now that we're kind of in this next chapter of our life, this is clearly what we're doing all the time, every day. It just feels a little less braggy, a little more educational, maybe inspirational.
Mhm.
And it's just who we are and what we're doing. And it feels weird to show so much of some parts of our life, but then keep this part private. So we've decided we're going to officially start sharing this part of our life.
Yeah, definitely. So, like, one of the biggest things that I think about, just being a salesperson, because that's what we are, at the end of the day, as realtors, is you definitely have to believe in the product that you're selling. So I think back to, like when I was in high school and like early on in college, there was a huge push for like Vima Verve. Did you guys have that here in
No.
Delaware?
If we did, I wasn't aware. I wasn't cool in high school.
Only the cool kids did it in Delco.
Yeah.
But like, a pyramid scheme, marketing scheme, hey, buy these energy drinks. Arbonne, Herbalife are, other examples that you see out there. And the people who are most successful were people, who are using those products and actually like promoting them. I couldn't get behind it. I'm not like an energy drink guy, sort of.
Right.
I wasn't drinking shakes in high school, other than Muscle Milk. Yeah. But when we got into real estate, like I don't want to sell real estate forever. At a certain point in time, I do want to retire. So we kind of look at this as, part of our retirement plan, part of our, just like business plan in general. Is, we do our best to try to buy a property a year is what we've been doing. Some of those have been in partnership, so we can go over, what a partnership looks like. Some of those have just been us, which is also, a partnership. We've definitely, learned a lot, and you learn a ton going through every single project. So it's good to go in, get some sweat equity, figure out what you do know, what you don't know. And it's all part of the journey here, I think. So as a like a big red flag to me is like talking with some of these realtors who maybe they just own their personal house,
Or there's some of them are renting.
yeah, so some of them are renting,
Yeah,
and like there's no knock against that. And it's just something that we have just taken to heart. We both, share the same mentor. And the biggest advice that he gave us when we got into this business, he said, hey, brokers aren't owners. Make sure that you guys, buy real estate.
Right.
So we've been very fortunate to come across some opportunities that we were able to take down and, have them, start to build up a portfolio. And, recently we've, gone ahead and started slowly expanding this. So we wanted to do this while we're 31 and kids are young. If we can do that, that's great, right? I didn't want to start this at 40, 50 years old.
Right.
Who knows what prices are going to be in 10, 20 years from now. So while we can get in, while stuff is still affordable, we wanted to go ahead and do our best to, try and get our hands on some stuff.
Yeah. And I think the older you get, the harder it is to get into this world, because we have now grown and adapted the 10 years we've been together. The first property we bought was in 2017. So we were 2 years in together. And I think we now live a lifestyle that is conducive to continuing to grow this business. I think it's hard for someone who's been putting money in a 401k and they've been doing whatever, they have their school tuition, they have their whatever their balance sheet looks like, to then add a huge purchase like this into that. You have to make a lot of sacrifices. And for us, our whole relationship, we've been making those sacrifices. So it just feels like a no-brainer for us at this point. Like, it doesn't feel like a sacrifice anymore because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. It just feels like when there's times when we don't have a project going on, it just feels like, hey, I think something's like missing from our lives right now.
Yeah.
Right. You get a little antsy, like, hey, is there something out there?
Get antsy.
I got a little antsy
earlier this year because we took a little bit of a pause in the last 2 years and, popped out 2 children, and those children were the projects. They still are. But those 2 years, we kind of did take a little bit of a beat in the investment world because our whole world was literally rocked with 2 children. But Correct. Now they're both we have childcare situated, and I feel like a normal person again. So now we're back in this world. So let's kind of take it back to the beginning. That first house, we got into real estate right out of college. The first property we bought, your first sale was our first house.
Yeah, you were my first client.
Yeah, Shout out. Officially, I bought the first house.
Appreciate you believing in me.
Yeah, I put up the Instagram post like, home is with you, and it was our home for sure. But don't get it twisted. I bought the house.
It's your house.
It's my house.
Yeah, it's your house.
I like to remind him of that. Yeah, it's my house. I was born with the stable income, the W-2, the good mortgage background. So bought that first house. We were 24. Had no idea what we were doing, but I knew if I could afford $900 a month in rent, then I could afford $1,100 in a mortgage. We basically sat down and, again, making those sacrifices. I was 24 years old in the prime of my going out era, fun era, and we kind of put that on the back burner. And I basically took a whole year and said yes to every single babysitting job I was offered. Shout out those families that literally funded our first house.
Shout out the Bear Lairs.
Mostly the Bear Lairs. Yeah, we were babysitting for them a ton. So I basically said yes to every single babysitting job for 1 full year. And I saved up around $8,000 in 1 year.
Yeah.
And Hags. Yeah. I basically saved $8,000 in 1 year, and he was my partner in crime. He came to these babysitting jobs with me. Sometimes I would get offered 2 babysitting jobs, and he would take one and I would take the other. You would take the Hags, I would take the Bear Lairs or whatever. So we literally said yes to every single babysitting job. And we were able to save $8,000. I was making 35 grand a year, like barely scraping by. And I knew in order to get that money for that first house, there had to be some type of a side hustle, and babysitting was that. Saved 8 grand, bought our first house. So we come from humble beginnings. It's a 700 square foot house in Trolley, no central air.
It's a little bit bigger. It's like 850.
Whatever. No central air. It's literally 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, and oil heat. Nothing sexy. Not a sexy house, but literally my favorite house in our entire portfolio.
Yeah, I would agree. Just like whenever we stop back in there, like the house still has like the same smell.
It feels like home. I would move back in there today.
Yeah, I absolutely love that house. So many good memories there. And like the biggest thing, I remember we were talking to someone recently, another Compass agent, and she was talking. We were just talking about, how some of these buyers can definitely be like super picky on stuff, and like, I think she was saying something along the lines of like form versus function, right? So as long as the house like functions well, like like it's livable, it's solid,
It's a
right? You know,
100-year-old brick row home. It's gonna. I use this line all the time. It's been here 100 years before us. It's gonna be here 100 years after us. That house is gonna outlive us, maybe tenfold. Built very solid, basic house. Nothing sexy, like I said, but so solid and really gets the job done.
correct. Well, something a little bit sexy. We do have some fruit on the backsplash,
Yeah,
and there we got some
beautiful
pears.
blue fruit.
Yeah, some pears, some apples in there.
And the one thing we did do there, because it's such a small house, the first thing we did was we did the backyard. That's the first project we did. We spent around $5,000 redoing the backyard just because the house is so small. Having that exterior living space, I think, was a major priority for us. So yeah,
Also
we
doing
did
our
do
best
that.
to get it to no maintenance.
No maintenance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no maintenance. Yeah, we lived there our first summer, and that grass got super high a couple times.
Yeah.
And
We were over it.
we didn't have a lawnmower, and we had a weed whacker that was corded, and the weed whacker didn't make it all the way to the backyard.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, we went ahead and made that one, you know, no maintenance. So
And that was our first time ever with the sweat equity project. I took a week vacation from my job. You took some time off of work as well. And we literally spent an entire week doing our backyard. We used our vacation time to do the backyard. So this is both.
and then it sat there for a while.
Sat there for a while, like a wasteland. But yeah, we did the backyard and learned a ton. That was the first time we really got our hands dirty in a project. We worked together. Thank God for your father. He helped us significantly as well.
We had a lot of other people help us out too.
Who else?
David James helped us out.
Oh yeah, DJ helped.
Yeah, DJ helped us out. One of my good buddies, Michael Clymer, helped me out.
Yeah.
There a little bit.
Yeah, we did have help. I forgot about that.
My brother helped us out by allowing us to dump the dirt in his backyard.
Yeah, we dumped a ton of dirt.
Dumped a ton of dirt.
Yeah, so
in
that was our first time ever doing a project together. Sweat equity, we learned a ton. Fast forward, the next house we bought was 1821.
Well, just keep it on that one. So going back to like the form versus function, like the house worked totally, you know, fine for us. Like everything was great. When we moved into our new house, we did go ahead and upgrade our house there a little bit.
Right.
And we almost like, why don't we just stay here?
I know, we loved it. We redid the bathroom a little bit. We fixed the water line, whatever. We did some other projects when we moved out.
Painted it a little bit.
So if you do want to rent out a house that you're currently living in, there probably is going to be some
Deferred
maintenance that you're going to have to put into it. And I definitely want to create a video about how to get your house ready for a rental. That'll be probably a whole nother series. So
yeah, definitely.
so yeah, we got that house ready. Meanwhile, a couple years later, we bought our first multifamily project. So I don't think we need to go into too big of specifics there, but that was our first time doing a renovation, like a full gut of renovation. We had partners on that project. It was super expensive. The construction budget was, you know, over $200,000. Like a lot of work was put into this project. So we did have our first group of partners on that one. While we were working through that project, I want to talk about the next one. It's the first property we bought together.
Yes.
Yeah, so while we were renovating the multifamily, another property came available around the corner. We got it from a wholesaler who we still work with. We have a great relationship with. And that was the first time Vincent and I feel, made a true commitment to one another. Do you agree? We talked about this last night.
Yeah, I definitely do. So going back, we had a good friend, Sean Kostoff. My big thing, like with people in real estate, there's a lot of talkers and like some doers, right? So we lived in the neighborhood. We were doing a project right around the corner. He texted me 2 addresses. We checked them both out. The one on Van Buren, which we weren't interested in, and then the
Great
other one.
opportunity, though. I remember that one.
Yeah, and then the other one closer to us. And I remember walking in there the first time, like it's just like it's wild. Some of the things that we see in this business. Beautiful block, beautiful neighborhood, horrible house.
Yeah,
like,
the worst.
You walk in there and
The
you're
worst.
like, what is going on?
How did this happen?
And how that happened was there was a guy living there who had, you know, some sort of mental disorder, and he had prosthetic legs, and he would get, you know, drunk, high, hammered, whatever he was, and he would take his prosthetic legs off and just beat the house up.
So the house literally had holes. All the walls were, I mean, our drywall budget was insane.
Yeah.
There was holes all over this house.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the house wasn't terrible.
No. So like
It had really good bones.
Yeah, and like, did we know what we were looking at?
No, we had no
not
idea.
really.
It looked way worse than it probably was. Now, with the eyes that we have now, I probably would have looked at that house a lot differently.
Yeah, just like going through and just being like, all right, yeah, like we can do this.
The basement was a mess.
Yeah, the basement was scary.
Literally had a dirt floor, and it needed a ton of work. So Vincent walked me through that house. Were we even engaged yet? No.
No, this was September 2020.
I thought it was like 2019. We were engaged in 2020. So it's 2019. Had to be 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
2019. So we walked through the house.
2019.
We are 2019. We're 4 years together. We live together. We own our first house together. We just bought this multifamily in your name. So this was the first property that you and I went in, officially signed our name on a line 50-50. And to me, I say this to, when people ask me about us and our life and our relationship, for me, this is when I officially committed to Vince Garman as my partner and teammate.
Appreciate that.
I mean, our wedding was beautiful and we were surrounded by family and friends and it was a great day. And obviously that's the start of our marriage. But for me, that day when we went under contract on that property, that was my official commitment to you.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember, I have like a vivid memory. He showed it to me and he showed it to one other guy. And he told me the price was 140. I was prepared to pay 150 for the house. It was like my number. And the other guy, he walked in right after us. And then you showed up and you walked in like right after him. And you walked out and you were like, hey, like let's do it.
Let's do it. I remember it. I was so scared.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do it. Like, why not?
Yeah. And I have a vivid memory of that was like, in the afternoon that day. And the next day he called me back and he was like, hey, like, can you do 142? And I was like, give me 1 sec. Like, I gotta
call your Kate.
Call my wife. Yeah. And like, you were like, yeah, like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
And I was like, holy smokes. Like we're doing this thing.
We're doing it.
Like, we're going to figure it out. And like, that really got the adrenaline pumping and stuff. So, from there, we, went ahead and figured out, we talked to a couple different lenders on that, and we met our good lending partner. Yeah. Glenn Walters from Shallcross Mortgage. So Glenn has financed a handful of projects for us. He's doing, he works with one of the biggest investors.
Yep. 2 of our biggest investors.
Yeah, two of our biggest investors. And I remember, like, we did our little presentation. We went down and met with him. He goes, yeah, I'll give you the money.
Give you the money.
I'll give you the money.
We were like, what? We're 26.
Yeah.
Not engaged, not married.
Yeah. Yeah. And then from there,
like, here's our 10 grand. Because I think that's all we had. Your parents were invested with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your parents fronted some of the cash that we needed for that.
And so we went ahead and we, got started on that project. First thing we did was the basement, which was like super cool.
Yep. And we kind of stand by that. We typically do the basements first.
Yep. Yeah. That was super cool. That's where we started our relationship with Michael Rumps.
Yep.
I think that was the first time that we worked with Rumps.
Thank God.
He was amazing. And, we got into it. We closed last day of September. And we were renovating the house, and it got to a certain point where we just looked at each other and we're like, hey, like we need to finish this thing.
We need to get it over the line.
Yeah,
we're done. We're over it.
All right. Yeah. So for those of you guys out there, a hard money loan is a type of investment loan, right? So the common term is, hard money. I like to call it easy money. It's like, hey,
money.
If you have, a down payment, they're going to finance the rest of the purchase, your closing costs, and a renovation budget. So rough numbers there, 142. I think we gave them somewhere around like $20,000-$30,000 down. They financed, $10,000 of closing costs and gave us a $60,000 renovation budget.
Yep.
So they don't give that to you just like, hey, here's a check for 60. That'd be great if they did.
Right.
But they don't.
It's probably for the best that they don't.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. So what they do is they give it to you in what's called draws. So you basically get somewhere between like 3 to 5 draws. We got 4 on that project. All around like 15,000. So, the first draw is for, demo, roof, basement. We line up those contractors, give them their deposits. They come in, do the work. Glenn comes back out. He checks out the property. He goes, hey, here's your guys' check. Right. Boom. So
pay all these contractors.
Pay all those contractors. Right. Next step is, electrician, plumbing. So they come in, do their rough in. Glenn comes out, looks at it. Any framing that we did, we put in a half bath. I'm not sure if we can see in this shot here, but we have a half bath framed out behind us. So, framed out the house. Glenn comes out, boom, hey, here's your next 15, right? And so we're working on this project and we're getting it going. And, it gets to a certain point, probably around like January, February, where like a lot of our relationships were, weekend warriors or night warriors where, hey, we needed a contractor to come in and like be there during the day. So, we had a friend come in, Mr. Ben Budart,
Yep.
get us over the finish line. So shout out him. We appreciate him for that. And we had a referral from the other multi-unit building that we were doing. Guy gave us a referral to our now current tenant. She's been there coming up on 4 years, and she waited. Like, her and her roommate were living in some apartment, wasn't a great situation, and I told her about the house. She drove by it. She's like, I want it. Like, didn't even need to see it. It looked like a total construction zone.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to show it to you while it's in this type
Yeah.
of condition,
But
right? We're
regardless,
going
they
to wait.
waited. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
they
we
waited.
signed that tenant, and it's been great.
Yeah. And yeah, so we signed her up. They lived there for a little while. Then our one roommate moved out. Now she's still living there. She loves it. Takes great care of it.
Yeah, great tenant.
It's probably one of the cutest houses in the whole
One of our
entire area.
favorites. Yeah.
They definitely
But
decorated
I
it
think
super
the
cute.
thing that we learned there the most is like that was when we again had $5 to our name, and that was our first project that we were like, I say like we sweep the floors. Like every night at the end of the night, we'd go over there together. We'd see what progress we made that day, and like we'd sweep up the floors, we'd clean up, we'd take the trash out, clean up the landscaping, etc. And like that's where we really like dove, I think, head first into this world, right? When our friends were out at happy hours or going to the shore or, going on vacations or saving up for their big fancy weddings, like you and I were really like in the trenches and dedicating our life to this. And again, like I think at that point in my life, I didn't want to post on social media or talk about these things because it just felt so braggy. Like it felt like, oh, look how great we're doing. And like we weren't. Like we were broke as hell. I talk all the time to to our teammates. Like we've been in the negatives multiple times. And like this was a time in our life when we were in the red zone. Like we had more debt than we had money coming in, money in our bank accounts, and we were in the red zone for a long time. But we got through it. We learned a ton. We went way over on our construction budget. We went way over on our timeline. But we're out of that project, and it's been a great asset for us, and we'll have it forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the strategy that we have employed for these like renovation projects is called a BRRRR strategy. So like BRRRR, I'm chilly. So the B is for buy. So we bought the house. The R is for renovate. So you go ahead, you fix up the house. The next R is for rent. So you go ahead, you place a tenant in the property. And then the last R, or the last couple R's, are you refinance. So
get out of the hard money loan.
Yep.
Because that's expensive money.
Yeah. So that mortgage payment was somewhere around like, $1,800 to $2,000 a month.
Yeah, a month.
Right. Yeah. It's called two. And then after that, after you refinance, then you go ahead and you repeat the process, right? So in theory, you cash out some money, and then you go ahead and do it again, right? For us, we cashed out some money, we pay back my parents, and we had a nice little starting bank account.
It was great
there.
Yeah. It was great.
For, any other, things that will pop up there. So we try to keep, a decent amount in reserves for each property. And really, once
shit fund.
Yeah, the OSHIP fund, right? Yeah, so we treat each of these properties, they're all owned in, separate LLCs. So we treat them as a business, and, you run it as a business. So these aren't things that we're tapping into every single month. We're basically sitting down a couple times a year, just being like, all right, cool, how much money is in this account? All right, where can we deploy, those dollars?
Right. Yeah. So I don't think we need to get into every single house beyond then, but fast forward, we buy our current house that we're living in, we buy our office building, and then some other like really small investments along the way. And then, pop out 2 children casually, like I said in the beginning. And now we're kind of getting back in the game, and we're currently sitting in our next project.
Yep.
So super exciting house here. This is our first time investing outside of Trolley, really. I mean, we have some assets that we have ownership in throughout Newcastle County, but as far as like our projects go, this is our first renovation house outside of Trolley. So we're sitting in Little Italy in a nice little 3-bed, 1-bath house.
Now it's going to be 1.5.
It's going to be a 1.5. And we say all the time, every dollar we spend, every minute we spend, we're just constantly paying tuition. So we're only 3 months in here, and I've already learned a ton,
Mhm.
which has been fun. And I think we have a lot more lessons to learn here. And we're excited to kind of bring people along for the journey, post some content along the way, show the kitchen getting redone, show the exciting things, and then maybe kind of also highlight the like less glamorous portions of this. Now, me and you aren't necessarily doing the demo anymore. We're not sweeping every night anymore. We've kind of learned that our time is worth a little bit more money. The older we get, the more successful we've become.
Yep.
So while we're not really knocking down walls anymore and using our bare hands anymore, we are still building sweat equity, being here all the time, checking in on contractors, and, getting multiple bids to make sure we're getting the right person in here to do the jobs. But we are excited to bring you guys along this journey, show the exciting parts, the less glamorous parts, and, again, like open our life up to this side of, or open the world up to this side of our life.
Yeah. Yeah. So what lessons have we learned over here so far?
Lessons we've learned, we did our first eviction, which from a property management standpoint had to happen. We had to learn what that process was like. So we completed our first eviction. We had the copper stripped from the house. We learned to change the locks in the first week. We didn't do that. We got the keys back from the tenants and thought we were good. And I think that was a little naive of us to think,
It's all good. Stuff happens.
it's all good. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had the copper stripped. So we're learning, maybe lock the doors better. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it so far.
Yeah. Yeah. With this house, like, is this something that we plan to hold forever? As of right now, yes. But the price was right. Once again, when someone sends you something and you tell them that you're looking for something, you sometimes got to move on it, right? So,
Yeah.
So we, bought this house off market, and, learned a ton, through that eviction process. This house definitely needed some love. We bought this from, a gentleman who was an out-of-state landlord. He wasn't really taking care of the property. The tenants were nice people.
Great people, yeah.
So
The house needed this.
yeah, correct. Yeah. Yeah. So we helped them, get into their next place. It wasn't like hey, you're out sort
Right.
of deal.
We helped
right?
them find their next location.
Yeah. Yeah. But buying and selling houses is a business. So, you got to treat it like a business. So we hired an attorney to handle the eviction for us that, sped up the process.
Yeah.
There. And, with this house, we just look at it as, hey, we're not going to hit a home run on every single one. Sometimes it's just getting on base. Sometimes, you get 4 balls and you get a walk on base. Sometimes, you hit a little infield single,
right,
and you run it down the line. So, that's what we're looking at with this one, here. And, we're just excited to finish it up and, just kind of see what this neighborhood does.
Yeah, the next couple years.
Yeah, there's a lot of, money pouring into this neighborhood. Some of our, where we've previously been is kind of a little priced out.
Yeah.
It's tough to, find investment properties, and, when you do find them, it's tough to get them, especially if they're on the market. So,
right.
With this one, we're looking to get in here, get another rep at a renovation, and, go from there.
Yeah. So shake the dust off and get another rep. So yeah, we're excited about this project, excited to open up our world to this. I think we're going to start talking more about things that we're seeing in the real estate market, things that we recommend, lessons that we've learned. There's a lot going on in the real estate industry that's really, I say, terrifying, to be totally blunt. Like, I think the new rules in place and things with interest rates and our government, I'm really terrified for the first time home buyer and what the world's going to look like in the next 5, 10, 20 years. So I think we're ready to kind of start opening our mouths and talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of look out for that type of content coming soon, more podcast episodes talking about Delaware, real estate, things that we've learned,
that we've done,
deals we've done,
things we're seeing out there,
lessons we've learned. And I think like, I'll kind of end with this. I think everybody that slides in my DMs, my friends, our aunts, our uncles, our cousins, everyone in the world, right? Everyone thinks they're the only one that wakes up and checks Zillow every day. I think everyone thinks like, oh, I have this weird thing. I like go on Zillow. And it's like, everyone does it. You all are on Zillow. That's why Zillow makes the big bucks, is because you all open your eyes and check it. The beach houses that you think you'll own someday, or the all types of real estate. I think everyone really does that. And I think a lot more people are interested in what we're doing than we realize sometimes. So yeah, I think we have a lot to say.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Or
Thanks for joining us on this journey, and keep an eye out for more episodes of Life on the Ave coming at you.